Live from the Don and Lorena Meyer studio at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln College of Journalism and Mass Communications, this is Nebraska Nightly.
Good afternoon and welcome to Nebraska Nightly. I'm Dawson Iasillo.
And I'm Tyler Moore. It's a big day of voting all across Lincoln. Today marks the start of the ASUN runoff elections.
And there's still opportunity to vote in the Lincoln primaries. That's our top story tonight. After a too close to call election, ASUN voting is happening one more time for the executive ticket. Based on ASUN's rules, candidates must win by at least 50% of the vote or by a 10% margin. Since no campaign achieved that in the initial election, the Ascend campaign and Catalyst campaign will head into the runoffs.
The two campaigns faced off in a debate last night, hosted by the Daily Nebraskan and Nebraska Nightly.
Senators. That's not something we're going to apologize for. We want to make sure that all students are accountable to you. We want to make sure that the students that you elected, that you put their name down on the ballot, are actually working towards projects for you. We're committed to pushing aside these electoral disputes and finding a way forward so that policy for all students, policy that works for all students, can be pushed forward.
We don't want to lead without you all, without the student body. We don't want a student government to be a bubble. We want it to be a bridge. We don't want to make decisions in a vacuum. We want to collaborate, and we don't want to be the loudest voices in the room. We want to be the ones who listen best.
UNL students can vote for the executive ticket until tomorrow at 8 p.m. in their MyRed account.
Weather keeps changing here around Lincoln, but it appears warming temperatures once again might be on the horizon.
Nebraska Nightly meteorologist Logan Schlotman has more. Logan?
We'll definitely be seeing more of those warmer temperatures. That's probably going to be throughout the weekend, but today we could see some smoke move up into the area, and from today on to Thursday we could also see breezy conditions, which is also going to lead to some potential fire effects, while Friday through Sunday, like I said, we're going to be seeing that warming trend that's going to take shape over the weekend. But let's take a look at Lincoln's current temperatures right now. 62 degrees, a southerly wind of 24 with gusts up to 30, and there's that low relative humidity right there, 24%. And taking a look across the state, we had a warm front that's currently around North Platte, where we're being 70s over into the Panhandle and Sandhills, but over in the East Coast, in the eastern part of the state is where we see those 50s and 60s still. And taking a look at our satellite, pretty clear for most of the country. Same thing for the radar. Only a couple of showers down in Miami and up in Washington. But we're going to take a look at those fires that are down there in Kansas. We can see that's where they're starting to burn. I think they're prescribed fires, but if we take a look at the satellite, we can really start to see some of that smoke working its way up to Lincoln. So if it seems a little hazy outside, that's going to be your main reason why. But we're going to take a look into the future. We really shouldn't see a lot of storms, especially in Lincoln, but potentially some showers is going to be up in northern Nebraska and over in the Panhandle and make its way through. But we'll see that low pressure system work through and bring some moisture. But throughout the next 7 days, we're going to be seeing those chances. Nothing really above 30%, but for the whole week, Wednesday and Thursday, 20%. Then we should have a dry Friday and Saturday, but those rain chances do pick up back up again Sunday and Monday, but by Tuesday, back down to 0. And taking a look at your later conditions for tonight, we'll be seeing 45 degrees south-southeasterly wind of 15 miles per hour. And then for the next 7 days, your week ahead, we'll be seeing those temperatures in the 70s and 60s, but we'll have that warming trend of temperatures back up into the 80s before cooling back down into the 60s. That's all I have for your weather today. Back to you.
Well, I'm certainly enjoying those higher temperatures, but the wind is a little bit much. Thank you, Logan. The polls are still open for a few more hours in Lincoln primaries election. According to the Election Commission's office, lines are not expected to be as long as they were in November. However, to keep voters moving, they recommend coming prepared with an acceptable form of identification, such as a Nebraska driver's license or a Nebraska state identification card. To find your poll location, go to Nebraska Voter Check on lancaster.ne.gov. For more details on poll location, you can also call the election commissioners at 402-441-7311.
In addition to local positions, the ballot contains measures pertaining to Lincoln infrastructure. Voters can vote on city council members, airport authority, Lincoln Public School Board members, and whether or not the city of Lincoln can increase sales tax by 0.25%. The 0.25% would go to repair and construction for streets in the city. If this does not pass, the responsibility of the repairs would fall on the city to pay for. Other ballots may see additional measures based on district.
Thousands of protesters took to Memorial Park in a wave of national demonstrations Saturday. In Lincoln, protesters opposed the recent actions of the federal government with the hope of instilling change locally and nationally. The local hands-off protests were part of about 1,400 demonstrations organized against President Donald Trump and his billionaire advisor Elon Musk. The 2-hour Omaha rally along Dodge Street involved nearly 1,000 protesters, many of whom showed up with signs, chants, and common goals. There were over 1,200 demonstrations across the nation, as well as multiple international protests taking place across Europe and outside the U.S. Embassy in Ottawa, Canada. These protests across the nation had similar goals to those in Lincoln, with protesters citing tariffs, the Department of Education being dismantled, and housing crises as issues.
Because of what Trump has done, people's livelihood has been at stake, especially folks who depend on rental assistance, people who are in public housing, different things like that. We have a housing crisis in Central Florida and across the entire country right now. So it has real local impact. And that's why everybody's here, because they've seen the local impact. It's not just some national talking points. It's people seeing to the things they've worked for their whole life. Social Security is not an entitlement. It's something people have earned and fought for. And so people are pissed off about it and they want to act.
Coming up on Nebraska Nightly,
Changes to Nebraska's electoral laws.
and a look at today's Health Minute. Stay with us.
Social media is a daily part of many college students' lives, something we've become used to, but it can also be overwhelming and draining. Studies show that taking regular breaks from social media reduces stress and improves mental health. Too much screen time has been proven to increase anxiety, while stepping away helps you reconnect with the world around you. Take a break. Protect your mental health.
The need for blood never stops. And at the Nebraska Community Blood Bank, your blood could help save lives. Right now, only 7% of the population donates blood. But imagine if there were more.
We're sitting at below a 7-day level of supply of all blood types across the board. So every blood type is important, and we need all donors of all types to come in and donate right now.
At the Nebraska Community Blood Bank, they believe that all types make a strong blood supply.
Governor Jim Pillen urges Nebraska's return to a winner-take-all system. Today, the legislature debates Legislative Bill 3. The bill would require all 5 of Nebraska's electoral votes to go to a single presidential candidate. In a statement released Saturday, Pillen called upon Senator Merv Reeby to stand with fellow Republicans on the vote. Pillen said, quote, "At minimum, WTA deserves a fair up or down vote on its merits by the people's representatives, not to be smothered by a filibuster led by ultra-liberal Democrats," end quote.
Lincoln police corralled a miniature horse early Sunday morning using strawberries. At 1:43 a.m., LPD received a non-emergency call about a miniature horse near 10th and West Dawes. After giving the horse pets and some strawberries, officers handed it over to animal control. LPD posted about the horse on their Facebook page, saying they hoped the owners would see the post and be reunited with their horse. April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. Nearly 90,000 people in the U.S. are diagnosed with the disease every year, according to the Parkinson's Foundation. These many early symptoms may be subtle or not specific to one disease. Health officials believe many people are living with this illness without knowing it. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has the warning signs of Parkinson's disease that everyone should know.
Behind Alzheimer's disease, it's the second most common neurodegenerative disorder in the U.S. Parkinson's disease affects the central nervous system, causing people to have difficulty controlling their bodies, and it worsens over time.
We actually lose about 80 to 90% of our cells, these cells, what we call dopaminergic cells, before we even notice the symptoms of this disease.
Dr. Sanjeet Graywal with Mayo Clinic says one of the earliest signs can be a slight tremor or shakiness, sometimes in your thumb, index finger, or chin.
One thing that's important to know with Parkinson's is often it's asymmetric, which means it starts with symptoms on one side and then can develop to having symptoms on both sides.
In addition, other warning signs include stiffness, difficulty with movement, freezing of gait where a person has a hard time starting to walk, a face that becomes expressionless, the person can no longer show emotions, speech may become softer, and writing may start to look smaller. There may also be a sleep disorder that develops,
where patients will start acting out their dreams and they'll start to get very, very physical in their dreams.
Graywal says patients may also develop a stooped posture, like they're leaning forward. There may be blood pressure issues, a persistent loss of the sense of smell, and dizziness when the person stands up. Constipation may also be a problem.
If we can catch it early, we can treat it early.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Right now, there's no cure for Parkinson's disease, but the doctor says aerobic exercise may slow down the onset of symptoms and improve quality of life. The National Institutes of Health say there are certain risk factors that make it more likely for a person to develop the disease, including if there's a family history, if the person is 60 or older, or was exposed to some environmental factors like certain pesticides or experienced head trauma.
After the break on Nebraska Nightly, an update on sports with Bridger Cruz.
And we take a look at a local bookstore. Stay tuned.
Many of the brands you love don't love animals like you do. Look at the labels of products you use for a bunny logo signifying they don't lab test on animals. Check the label for those who aren't able. Start making the shift by visiting crueltyfreekitty.com today.
Okay, so how about this much?
I don't know.
Well, how about this much?
I don't know.
How about...
Actually, I don't know.
Okay, maybe this much?
I don't know.
The very tip of your pencil, a fraction of a raindrop, 3 grains of salt. That's how much it takes for a dose of fentanyl to become lethal. Learn more at realdealonfentanyl.com.
Welcome to Nebraska Nightly. I'm your sports anchor, Bridger Cruz. The Lincoln Stars are USHL regular season champs for the first time since 2004. After an overtime win against the Madison Capitals on Saturday night, the team received standout performances from a pair of 2025 NHL prospects in Jack Pekar and defenseman Jacob Rombach, as well as a 20-year-old St. Cloud commit Jan Shostak. In overtime, forward Deshelle Oliver scored a game-winning goal to clinch the Anderson Cup for the first time in more than 20 years. Lincoln's 43rd win of the season Saturday also matched a single season high with 2 regular season games to go. Lincoln had previously won the Anderson Cup in the years 2000, 2001, and 2003. The Stars become the 10th team in the league's Tier 1 era to win multiple Anderson Cups. The Stars will celebrate its Anderson Cup victory at its final home game of the regular season on Friday, April 11th against the Tri-City Storm. The USHL regular season concludes on April 12th. Now, taking a look now at basketball. Now, for the Huskers, they ended up winning the crown, but good news keeps on flowing for them with the announcement of a familiar face heading back to Lincoln. Jamarquez Lawrence has committed to Nebraska after spending 1 year with the Huskers before entering the transfer portal and spending a year with the Rhode Island Rams. The 6'3" guard from New Jersey is back in the Great Plains. In the 2022-2023 season, Lawrence averaged 6.9 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game. And with the Rams, he was named a team captain, and there he was able to put up impressive numbers for himself with 9.9 points per game and 2.5 assists per game. Now, Lawrence joins Price Sanford from Iowa and just Jarovicius from Central Michigan as incoming transfers for the Big Red. And coming off a crown win, Nebraska is already planning for next season with 3 transfers already committed to the program. And now going to baseball, Husker baseball heads to Lawrence, Kansas to take on the Jayhawks in a midweek matchup. Now in this matchup, through 254 all-time meetings, Nebraska holds a 149-103-2 advantage over Kansas in the all-time series. The Jayhawks swept the Huskers in a home-and-home series last season, with Kansas recording a 13-11 win in Lawrence and a 9-4 victory in Lincoln in 2024. First pitch for that as it's 6 p.m. and streamed on ESPN+. Now, guys, for sports, a lot going on. Basketball, baseball, hockey, and softball as well has been another really fun sport to watch. The Husker softball team has been off to a great start, and they continue to make this season one of the better ones for them.
Yeah, it'll definitely be very exciting to see where they go.
Yes, hoping for some great weather as well. Thank you, Bridger. Whether you are looking for your next good read, a quiet place to work, or a chance to meet new cat friends, Sower Books has what you are looking for.
Nebraska Nightly's Felicity Neely brings us to this new indie bookstore.
Unlike some bigger chain bookstores, Sower Bookstore is something different.
Indie bookstores, that's going to be short for independent bookstore, meaning we are not beholden to anyone. There is not Mr. Barnes & Noble above me saying, here are the books that you must stock in your store, here is how you will make this display. Nothing like that.
To Hall, an important part of running her bookstore and taking care of each other means creating a safe space where everyone feels welcome. When it comes to her store, this means having books for all ages, interests, and voices. At Sower Books, you find a good book and your new best friend. The store partners with Guardians for Felines to fill their cat room. Since the opening of the cat room, 10 cats have been adopted. Hall got this idea from a bookstore in New York called Lock City Books.
I'm a cat mom. I knew I wanted to have cats at my store. I saw her model and was like, well, I was going to be scooping poop anyway.
Community is a huge priority for Hall and Sower Books. They work hard to include local authors and artists. Local coffee maker, Alvin Coffee, will even make pop-up appearances in the store. But Hall's friend Elizabeth Rhodes says community means even more.
That's why there's so many tables. That's why there's so much open area. If we can have your group come in and hang out with us for a while, maybe you buy something, maybe you don't.
Sower Bookstore opened their doors last year during Labor Day weekend. The name of the independent store is partly inspired by the book Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler.
To find out more about Sower Books, you can check them out at their website at sowerbooksne.com. There you can find some of their books for sale, their event calendar, and you can sign up for their newsletter. Felicity Neely, Nebraska Nightly.
The nice weather appears to be sticking around for the rest of the week.
Nebraska Nightly meteorologist Logan Schlotman has a final look at your forecast. Logan?
Yeah, we should be seeing somewhat similar temperature as we get into that weekend. We'll be seeing temperatures up into the 80s with a high of 83 on Saturday and Sunday, but mostly partly cloudy and mostly sunny. And quick Easter update is we should see temperatures stay around seasonal, so around the same temperatures that we've been seeing for your Easter weekend. So these next 2 weeks should be quite fine. Should be a great week ahead.
Well, Nebraska weather can be a little bit of a toss-up, so I'm glad it's being nice to us this weekend.
Same here, yeah. It's definitely nice to see some nice weather instead of a bunch of rain or even some other weather that we have seen recently.
Yeah, weather's looking nice for those softball and baseball games you were talking about, Bridger.
Yeah, you're right. The weather should be almost perfect for softball and baseball.
Thank you for joining us on Nebraska Nightly. You can find us on socials at Nebraska Nightly.
Tune in tomorrow for our Wednesday news update at 4:30 p.m. and then again on Thursday at the same time. Have a good afternoon.
Nebraska Nightly is a production of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's College of Journalism and Mass Communications.